So it's July 1969, and 3 U.S. astronauts rode a Saturn V rocket with the sole purpose of showing that, well, humanity was ready to explore other worlds. I'm Matt Haskell, and I'm a high school history teacher, and we're going through Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire, lyric by lyric, verse by verse. And we've had, Birth Control, Ho Chi Minh, Richard Nixon back again. Here we are with Moonshot. Now, when Billy Joel sings Moonshot, he's pointing to, well, Apollo 11 and effectively the first human landing on the moon in July of 1969. And it was the capstone of a decade that started with Yuri Gagarin and John Glenn and a promise by President Kennedy to land a man on the moon and bring him safely home before the decade ended. Now, the mission was, well, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins. And they would, they would take the rocket, the Saturn V, which was as tall as a 36-story building. The launch was on July 16th of 1969 from Florida. And after an Earth orbit, the third stage fired to send the crew toward the moon. Now, Collins, he stayed in the command module, which was known as Columbia, and Armstrong and Aldrin descended into the lunar module, which was known as Eagle, as they made their way toward the surface of the moon in the Sea of Tranquility. Now, the landing was tense. You had computer alarms. The computer alarms were 1201 and 1202 that warned of data overload while the guidance kept on working. Armstrong saw boulders in the target area, and eventually he took manual control of the lunar module, and he flew the Eagle forward to a safer patch with seconds of fuel to spare. The touchdown call was, Houston, Tranquility Base here, the Eagle has landed. Hours later, though, we had the walk. Armstrong stepped off the ladder, and he said, "One step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." And then Aldrin followed after him, describing the surface as just an example of magnificent desolation. They set up some experiments. They took photos and samples and planted a U.S. flag with a plaque that read they had come in peace for all mankind. An estimated hundreds of millions of people watched live on television, and it turned a science mission into a shared human memory. After a day on the surface, they did lift off. They rendezvoused with Collins and headed home. Splashdown was July 24th, 1969 in the Pacific Ocean with a recovery ship waiting. And for years after, moon dust sat in labs, and the new phrase Moonshot became shorthand for any type of audacious project that mixes risk and teamwork and a deadline. And so why this single word, right? Moonshot? Why is it in a lyric, right? Well, it captures a moment when engineering and politics and television, just united everyone. And the idea of the impossible suddenly looked practical. When we tie it back to the song, Moonshot condenses the launch, the landing, the footprints, and a world watching in real time. And of course, the reason why it matters, well, the Moonshot shows how clear goals, big budgets, and thousands of specialists can move a civilization forward. It gave tools that we still use on Earth today, from computing to different materials like Velcro, right? And also a photo of our planet that changed how we think about our home. If you enjoyed this particular episode, please like, comment, follow, share for all those things, and I'll keep working my way through the song. We've had Moonshot here with this particular line, and next up, I'll be taking you to Woodstock. Thanks for watching.